Oh, all right. What's up, Dragon Brood? New Capenna is upon us, and it's time for deck building. And I know, after asking, there's so many people who want a JUND list, so we're going to start with that first of the list we're going to put out. Now, be sure to follow, or I guess subscribe here. I don't know, I'm on all the different platforms, but remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell because I'm going to have a couple more deck lists coming today, tomorrow, and probably during the live stream on Tuesday. Speaking of which, if you want to see these decks in action, be sure to come by. I'm going to be streaming on YouTube in the morning, Facebook in the afternoon, Twitch in the evening on Tuesday the 26th in the early access event. So all these decks I'm putting out are going to be decks I'm playing. So be sure to handle all that stuff. Like, subscribe, share, you know the drill. But let's go take a look at what this JUND treasure decks might look like right out of the gate for New Capenna. If you're looking for quality binders, sleeves, dice, deck boxes, or other supplies, be sure to check out Ultra Pro's Smoke Gray collection this month over at shop.ultrapro.com/PowrDragn and use promo code PowrDragn to save 5%. All right, like always, we are just going to be trying some cards out to see where they fit in these lists, but we do want to go ahead and give serious consideration to things, obviously, right out of the gate. However, we might make changes to these, who knows? But this one I think actually looks pretty good as it is. So we're starting at the top with 3 Voltage Surge, and this is just because we're going to have a lot of treasure. So there's a lot of times we're going to be able to play this for the 1 mana and be able to take out something for 4. Even if we just have to use it for 2 early, still fine. And then we're going to play a full set of Black Market Tycoon. This is a 2 mana 2/2. Beginning of your upkeep, for each treasure you have, you take 2 damage. Tap it, create a treasure token. Now, you might be looking at that and saying, like, why are we doing that when we're playing all of these treasure? Because we're just going to take a bunch of damage. Not really, actually. Now, you can if you need to. Like, let's say we want to stockpile 1 or 2 treasure for a turn to get us to where we can cast something really big. That's not unreasonable. However, most of the time we're going to be using it. So as we go through the deck list, we were trying to find ways that we can use this treasure so we just don't have it sitting around. The idea is we want to generate treasure every turn to get some type of effect so we're not just sitting on it. We're playing 3 Dragon's Fire because, well, Dragonfire is solid and we do have some dragons in the deck, so might as well give it a go. It's as good as anything. We are playing 3 Kalain, and this is one of the best ways to use treasure. Kalain, if you don't know, is a 2 mana, 1/2, comes into play, creates a treasure, and then other creatures you control get +1/+1 for each mana spent on them that came from treasure. This is a big deal, because this basically means between this and the Black Market Tycoon, at a minimum, everything's going to be able to get +1 every turn whenever we cast a creature, and that's very powerful in this list. And it means you can have multiple things that are ramping up every turn, and all these things that are producing treasure. So hopefully it works out the way we want. Now we do have a couple of copies of Magda. I'm not totally sure what Magda's role is going to be in the deck yet. What I'm picturing is sometimes we're just going to run Magda in, create a treasure, let her die. But there's going to be times that maybe we draw Magda late and maybe we don't have the Black Market Tycoon out. So we do want to stockpile a little bit of treasure from all the things we have that are making treasure and then just go search out a dragon. I'm not totally sure. Honestly, thinking about it, Magda might be the weakest card in the deck, but I think it at least merits playing it right out of the gate. So I would say if you already own Magdas, feel free to stick them in the list. If you don't own them, maybe play an additional Kalain and a Prosperous Innkeeper will probably be your best bet. Because speaking of which, we are playing 3 Innkeepers. So there. And honestly, this is just for the versatility of the mana, but again, it is making a treasure, so we're super good with that. But like I said, Magda might be the weakest, and I would not be surprised if I just decide to go 4 Kalain, 4 Innkeeper, and call it good. But we'll see how things go. Honestly, we might generate enough treasure that it might be better off just going for something bigger, instead of having a bunch of these 2 mana things in the early goings. Now we are playing 4 Shatterskull Smashing because, again, somewhere to spend our mana if we need it, quality removal, not going to worry about that. But if you look at it though, it does mean we have Voltage Surge, Dragon's Fire, and Shatterskull Smashing already for removal, which is very good. Then we have Reckless Stormseeker, which by the way, Reckless Stormseeker with Kalain is super awesome. especially if you have like a Black Market Tycoon on 1, and then you play a Kalane on and something on 2, and then maybe you play Reckless Stormseeker with 1 or 2 counters on it. Like, you can get a lot of damage out of this deck very quickly. So playing 4 of those. Also, I like having haste creatures anyway in a world full of sweepers and everything else. We're going to try out 2 of the Riveteer Charm. And if you don't know, this is a 3 mana, 1 of each. So black, red, green. Instant, you choose 1. Target creature or target player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker with the highest cost. You exile the top 3 cards of your library. You get to play them until your next turn, or you can remove target player's graveyard. So all of these are probably going to be pretty good, but most often I think we're going to be using this to get somebody to get rid of their largest thing, oftentimes a planeswalker, or use it to get to just look at extra cards. And since we have some things with haste and things that are making tokens and whatever, could be pretty good for us. Now, another thing that's going to make this deck really good against the sweepers is that we have stuff like the Capenna Express. We are trying out 3 of those. This is one of the new cards that's 3 colorless and a green. It's a 6/6, and it's a vehicle. You can crew it for 3, or you can sacrifice a treasure, and then it becomes a creature until end of turn. So basically, you're going to be getting a 4 mana 6/6, where we just have to sacrifice a treasure. Well, considering we have Black Market Tycoon, we've got Prosperous Innkeeper, we've got Magda, we've got Kalane, all producing treasure. We should be able to produce enough treasure to activate this on the cheap, which is pretty good. And again, post sweeper or whatever, you've got this thing out. So if you just draw like a Kalane late or whatever, cool. Sacrifice that treasure, attack for 6. Also cool is if you play the Reckless Stormseeker the turn before, there's a high percentage chance we're going to get to attack with a 6/6. So technically, I guess it'd be a 7/6 with haste on that turn alongside the Stormseeker. So you could be setting up some really big turns with this deck. We're also going to play Eska's Chariot, and I don't mind having both the Chariot and the Capenna Express, mostly because we are producing enough treasure, which means we should be able to play 4 mana things on turn 3 a lot. Like, if we can't, we're probably doing something wrong, or we just had a really bad draw. But when you're talking about Tycoon, Kalane, and Innkeeper all being able to produce treasure, like, we have to be able to find that. There are also going to be some turns where you get like 1 of those on 2, 1 of those on 3, and then you have 5 mana going into that next turn as well. So there's going to be a lot of different high mana combinations we're going to be able to pull through on. Now, another card I want to give some consideration here to is the Security Rocks. Security Rocks is a 4 mana, so 2 colorless red-green for a 5/4, which really has no extra abilities. However, you can play this for a red and a green, but only if that mana comes from treasure. Now, this is actually really important because if we do have something like Kalane out, well, now we can make this a 7/6, and that's actually pretty strong. So we'll see how it goes. I don't really know how we're going to go about doing this just yet, if it's going to be good enough or not, but it is a big 5/4 body, and a lot of times you're going to be able to play that alongside another creature, which is also very powerful. Or when you're doing something like a Riveteer Charm, and it's one of the cards you reveal, the fact that you may be able to play it cheap with treasure is also a very powerful thing. So letting you get multiple cards off of that Riveteer Charm could be very good. Then, of course, we're playing for Goldspan Dragon because, well, it's Goldspan Dragon, it has haste, it makes treasure, all your treasures count for double. So, yeah, we like what that's doing. And then, since we're going to go ahead and be in JUND, we're going to go all the way to the top, and we're going to play one Zeatora, the Incinerator, because why not? Right? It's a 6 mana, so as you know, it's 3 green, red, black, 6/6, flying. It's a demon dragon, and at the beginning of your end step, you can sacrifice another creature. When you do, this card deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to any target, and then you create 3 treasure. That is super powerful on this deck. Either because we want to sacrifice something small to mid-size, get a couple of treasure, deal some damage, and then we're set up for the next turn. Maybe you want to set up a big play with a Riveteer Charm, where you sack something, you get those 3 treasure, you fire off a Riveteer Charm, and you try to go off the following turn. Like, there's a bunch of different things we can do. Or maybe we're just sacrificing a Rocks or a Goldspan Dragon or whatever and dealing 4, 5, 6, 7 damage, right? So there's going to be a lot of weird high damage combinations out of this that I think we're going to really enjoy from playing this list. Now, the lands, we're kind of all over the place, but we're going to be playing 3 Blightstep Pathway, 1 Boseiju, 2 Cragcrown Pathway, 2 Darkboar Pathway, 2 Den of the Bugbear, 1 Lair of the Hydra, 2 Rockfall Vale, 1 Sekinzen, and we're going to play a full set, or actually no, we're only playing 3 of the Zeator's Proving Ground. I had 4 and I pulled them out because I wanted to make room for a couple of basics. So we are playing 1 Forest and 1 Mountain. We should be able to produce all the mana we want anyway though, because we have so many things producing treasure. And because of our 2 mana cards being so cheap and of different varieties, it almost doesn't matter what lands we get early. We should be able to cast something on turn 2, especially with the different mixes of multi-lands and whatnot. Now, if you are concerned, it is possible that you may want to replace some of the pathways with some of the dual lands from the Innistrad sets. I could see that being a thing. My only concern is I was worried about them coming into play tapped on 3 potentially. It may not matter because we have so many 2 mana things. So I could see a reason to go ahead and say, all right, I want to play a couple more of those instead of some of the pathways. So if you own those, feel free to go ahead and flip-flop a few of them, and I don't think it hurts your mana too much. But overall, this should be a fun deck to play right out of the gate if you're looking to play JUND. So yeah, what I like about this deck is that it does all the things we want to do for a JUND deck. It's got some haste creatures, it's got quality removal, it's got early mana, it's got big finishers, it should be resilient to a lot of the sweepers. It even has a way to draw a couple of cards that you don't normally have. Like, it's checking a lot of the boxes. So I really like what we're doing here, and I hope it works out the way we want. Again, I would recommend, if you haven't, please remember to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all the good stuff. Choose all notifications so you don't miss any of these, because like I said, we're gonna have 5 or 6 more decks coming out in the next 48 hours, and I'm going to be playing these on Tuesday during the early access event on April 26th. We're gonna be right here on YouTube, and then we're gonna be playing on Facebook in the afternoon, and then we're gonna be playing on Twitch in the evening. So we're gonna do probably 12 hours of this. We're gonna try to go through all the decks that we have up. So if there's one you like, stop by, because we're probably gonna play it. So yeah, remember, like, subscribe, share. That's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.